welcome to What the Hell, Angry Faithful. Now, today we are not joined by Johnny again. We're recording this ahead of times because we're both super busy, and it's going to be the Super Bowl weekend. It's just a heck of a time for me and him, but I'm still going to keep the show going. Today we're here with Jimmy. What's your last name again?
Mancille.
Mancille. Okay, Jimmy Mancille. And it's interesting because we found each other because we were working on the same job. You're going to do the painting work, and you just told me everything and anything about the music industry. You're heavily into the music industry back in the day. So you helped founded Union Underground too?
Yeah, back in 1994, me and Pat and Brian got together after all of our bands broke up. And it was kind of funny because Pat was looking for me and I was looking for him to start a new band.
Yeah.
And
isn't that how most of it goes? I mean, usually really good bands that end up, they're like patchworks of other bands. They're like, oh, I fell in this one. Oh, I fell in this one. I mean, it took like Metallica like 3 different time frames. And even now they're still... I mean, they just recently got their new bass player. No, recently they got rid of their guitarist.
Really?
I think so. Hold on, I can bring this up. This is the only reason
why I have the laptop. That would be surprising because I kind of try to keep up with all of that, but yeah, they are on the top of their game right now.
Well, it was fun in my youth. I started to get I've gotten to stuff called epic rock.
Yeah.
Which basically has more symphony and everything. It sounds so beautiful and it goes so well.
Yeah. Yeah, their new bass player just kills it. I mean, he is awesome.
Yeah. They've gone well. One was because of death. The other one, he just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
With Metallica. And that's how a lot of bands end up. Kurt Hamill. I think he's still in.
Kirk Hammett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still in.
Yeah, he's still in there.
Yeah, I guess it was the bass player that was the only recent change up. So tell me, how many bands have you been in?
Well, let's see. That's a long story.
Well, okay, how many bands have you been in that actually took off?
Well, see, when I was about, I guess it was probably back in 1984, I decided to put my name in a referral service down in Houston. Mm-hmm. And I wound up going to Oklahoma City for a while and played with the band there over the summer. And I was living practically in a warehouse, and it was 112 degrees every day. And I was like, I'm done with this, So I wound up joining a band in Moline, Illinois. So I flew up there. And I was up there for about 8 months, and we were just touring the club circuit. And back then, it was, everybody was playing covers. Yeah, that was the only way you could make any money.
I mean, nowadays, very rarely do you get any kind of band that has like an original song. Most of the time, they're playing covers.
Well, it's gone back to that.
Yeah, it's
because that's the reason I stopped playing is because I couldn't afford to continue. We weren't making any money. All the money that we did make was going back to paying the sound man, the light guy, somebody, a roadie, people tuning guitars.
Yeah, that was another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the range of how much you actually spend on road stuff compared to. I was like, how do they make this much money? I can understand now that that I'm older. Back in the day, I was like, oh, they're rich, they're living in this mansion. Then the next moment, you're like MC Hammer,
Yeah.
He was like super rich. Had this. Then he had it. Then come to find out, he had an entourage. He was paying them. He was paying like 50 different people, and he just blew through his money really fast in taxes.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of that is because you know those guys are having to pay their record company back because their first deal is usually crap.
Yeah.
You know, and but anyway, what I was saying was I went up to Illinois, played with the band up there, and we were bouncing back and forth from Iowa to Illinois and playing around that club circuit. And the clubs up there in Illinois stayed up until like 4 in the morning. So it was rough because we were playing 6 sets a night, 45-minute sets, 60 songs.
Oh, man.
And I was freezing my ass off.
And yeah, that's the reason why I don't do that.
Yeah, and I wound up getting sick and having to, fulfill the week at the club we were at, and so I could get back home for Christmas. And so when I think like we had 2 songs left on that Sunday night, and I lost my voice.
Oh.
Yeah, I blew it completely out. I mean, it's hamburger meat. Couldn't even make a sound.
Oh, wow.
And so when I came back for Christmas, I wound up staying home. I was like, I'm not going back there. So I wound up going to Memphis, Tennessee, and joined another band. And I was living with a drummer outside in a little town out in Arkansas called Macquarie, Arkansas, which was about 45 minutes away from Memphis. But we were doing the same thing, playing copies, and we wound up going into the studio with the former bass player from a band called Target, who was also the bass player for Jimmy Jameson's old band. And we wound up recording a couple of...
The rock band Target?
Yes. Is it Jimmy Jameson?
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Jimmy Jameson. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway,
he was the lead singer.
Right.
And he was it's 1974 to 1979.
Right.
He was active for that band.
Well, anyway, their bass player had a recording studio there in Memphis, so we needed a demo tape of something because we wanted to play a big show in Memphis on our own. We didn't want to go through the club thing. We were playing little BFWs and, playing for high schools and stuff like that.
Basically, you're doing what I'm basically doing now. I'm going to the bars and everything, and just doing events there. I mean,
right.
I'm trying to treat this like a band.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to have the podcast at events and everything. I've done several events, and I'm not making any money off of it.
Right.
But I'm making connections and everything like that.
Right. Well, anyway, we went in and we recorded 2 songs that I wrote, and we put those on the radio. Malcolm Riker was the DJ there in Memphis at that particular time. I had met him down in Austin. I think he worked down there because I lived in Austin back in '85 briefly. And so the songs blew up in Memphis like crazy. And so we decided to do a little mini tour around that, quad state area. There's 4 or 5 states around that place, but you remember a band called Tora Tora?
I think I recognize the name. I can't.
They got signed, and Anthony Corder was the singer for them. He's kind of like he sounded like Robert Plant.
Okay.
And so they went on a little tour with us. And so we went around, played a bunch of venues, and we were going to end it all in Memphis, Tennessee. So we booked a gig at the New Omni Daisies Theater on Bill Street.
Oh, okay.
And so I had Bill Young, a producer down in Houston who did all the, concert commercials. The one is like, get ready, San Antonio Convention Center Arena.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That guy. He's not alive anymore, but he made us a commercial that made us sound like Def Leppard was coming to town. I mean, I was kind of freaked out,
And are we even this big?
Yeah. And it was kind of freaky because, they sent everything on reel-to-reels. And we put the reel-to-reels on and listened to this commercial because it had it from like 2 weeks out up until the day. Mm-hmm. And we were expecting, maybe 300 or 400 people to show up because Tora Tora in Memphis at that time was huge. They had a huge following. And we wound up pulling in about 3,500 people.
Damn.
I mean, it was packed, sold out. And
when you got on the stage after that, I mean, you haven't played that big of a venue, have you?
No, not me. I mean, I came from a little bitty town of 300.
Oh, okay.
And Benjamin, Texas.
What'd you feel when you first got that?
Well, I didn't know what to feel because that show went crazy from the very beginning. We had a guy that ran pyro for Motley Crue or something. He was off at the time, and he came out with us, and he was like going to set up all this pyro and stuff, and we were going to, burn the place down.
Yeah.
And so, in the midst of all these people showing up, all of the cables to all of his pyro got all twisted up, and he didn't know what was going to what, and so he just came in there, because we had like 4 scenes.
Yeah.
We had 2 cannons and like 4 scenes of fire. And he was like, we're either going to have it all at the beginning or we're going to have it all at the end, so take your pick. Well, let's do it at the beginning, let's freak them out. Which I wish we would have done it at the end, because when he set that stuff off, it
the smoke
looked like it blew up the stage. Because there was, 2 cannons, 4 fires that were 20 feet high. If you saw the video, you'd freak out because the concussion from all of that just made everybody go, whoosh, And I burnt like half my hair off, melted my belt, melted my jacket. I am freaked out completely. And there's smoke everywhere, so I can't even see where the edge of the stage is. I can't see the people at all.
So you had your first time having a big group of people,
Yeah.
and you couldn't even see the audience.
I was on my hands and knees trying to find my mic, And that's how all this started, It's like I started making my way back to the drummer, and he starts cutting into the song. So I'm like standing right in between the pyro on both sides of me, So I'm like Michael Jackson up there bouncing around, trying to put my hair out and shit, So yeah, it was quite a show there. But we finished off that set, and I decided after that I was wanting to move on to bigger and better things. So I wound up going back to Austin.
At least some people that had like a little bit more criteria and not to try to choke you to death with the smoke from the explosions.
Yeah. Well, see, I was a drummer most of my growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned to play drums when I was a little kid. And I played drums, toured with a country band around here for a while, and right after I got out of high school. And, of course, that was so boring to me, I was falling asleep literally playing. But I went to Austin, and I met a girl that had a friend that was dating a guy in another band called Rockin' Horse. And they were playing Austin quite a bit at the back room and stuff. And that's where we were mostly hanging out. And so when I was in Memphis, I was reading through rock magazines of different local bands and stuff like that were getting big and stuff, and I came across this band that was called Presence with a Z, and I went and seen them play down in Seguin, Texas.
Okay.
And I thought they were great. But anyway, while I was in Austin, I'd gotten word from a guitar player from the Dangerous Toys, Tim, at the time that was playing with them, that they were looking for a singer. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd like to try out. So I gave him a demo tape, and he checked it out and was like real cool with it and stuff. But before all that went down, this friend of ours that played with, sang for Rockin' Horse, wound up telling me that Presence was looking for a singer. And at the time, Presence in San Antonio was the biggest thing in that city. I mean, they were literally selling out Sunken Gardens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they were opening up for every national act coming through Texas. And they had great management, and they had great booking. So I was like, okay. So we went to go see Eric Johnson play down in San Antonio. He was doing a benefit show because apparently he lost all of his equipment in a fire or something like that back then. And so I ran into this guy that I was talking about, and he's like, yeah, Neil, the bass player from Presence, is here. You know, do you have a demo tape? And I was like, yeah. So I gave it to him. We went out the car, and I was, totally shit-faced by that time, but, let him listen to it, the one we recorded in Memphis with the other band, and he loved it. And 12 days later, I was playing in front of 4,000 people at the Bluebonnet Palace in Selma.
This time you can actually see the people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the same scenario, but with less bombs. Less cannons and less fire. But, yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird because all of a sudden I'm sitting in an apartment in Austin, working with my friend, doing construction stuff, and 12 days later, I'm playing in front of 4,000 people and doing radio interviews on 99.5 KISS, and, Joe Anthony, the godfather of rock and roll, was there. And it was a big deal that I joined that band because their singer was like the shit in that town. And so after that, it was just like we were opening up for Warrant. We were opening up for Blue Murder, Tesla. Mm-hmm. We were going out on the road with Night Ranger and just all those bands that were touring at that particular time. And we were playing La Samana in front of 30,000 people with Legs Diamond, and they were the biggest thing. San Antonio thinks Legs Diamond is God.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like their favorite thing. And so we would do...
Kind of like Pantera nowadays with, the Dallas area.
But, I mean, it was like, we would play this 30,000 people show at La Samana, and then we'd go to Austin, and there'd be like 100 people, So it was kind of weird. And then we'd go back to Corpus Christi, and there'd be like 5,000 people. And then it was just kind of weird. Some of those people liked it, and some people didn't. But after that, I was with them for like 6 years, and it was all fun and dandy, but I just didn't think we put enough time in on writing music. And that's all I wanted to do is get some new, fresh songs. We wrote some, but, we were using the producer that did Stevie Ray Vaughan's stuff and Eric Johnson stuff. His name was Richard Mullins. I don't think he's alive anymore either. But he, the guitar player in Presence, his name was Sean Somm, who is Doug Somm's son. And so we got to know a lot of people, big names in the industry just because of that. Doug Somm was with the...
No, he died in 95.
Yeah.
Rich Mullins?
Yeah. He, he hooked us up with Richard Mullins and got us to, do some recording sessions with him, and we would record a song or two. I didn't really like the way he mixed because he was more, that bluesy, clean sound. And that's not what we were going for. We were trying to go with, at the time we were trying to sound like Motley Crue or Tesla or something like that.
You wanted more hardcore.
Yeah, I wanted some big drums.
Yeah.
I wanted some heavy guitars, big drums, and
You wanted a full set going around you.
yeah. Well, that wasn't my job. I went to singing.
Oh, okay.
I was singing. I started singing back in '85, and that was something that happened. I was coming up here a lot, visiting some friends and stuff. They used to have a recording booth. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
Maybe at the mall, and I got in there and sang "Open Arms" by Journey, and I didn't know the guy had the speaker on real loud. So when I came out of there was like 200 or 300 people outside clapping and cheering, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Freaked me out.
Now, you said you started drumming for these bands. What made you want to go for the transition from drumming to singing?
I went to singing because I could never find a singer, and I was playing drums and singing. When I started trying to play "Take Hold of the Flame" by Queensryche and play drums and sing that, I could do it, but it was like I didn't feel comfortable doing it, and I wanted to feel comfortable.
Did you just not feel like you were putting it all to the
right?
Okay.
It was it was like I'm having to split this up because I could do the drumming part. It wasn't that big a deal, but the singing on that stuff was insane. Jeff Tate's voice was insane. But after I did that little stunt at the mall, I later went down to Austin and jammed with some guys down there, and went to the back room, played, got up and sang a few songs, and everybody was like approaching me. So that's when I decided to start singing.
Oh, okay.
So, and at the time I had real long hair, and it just fit my whole image, So I was, I got kind of tired of watching all these long-haired guys getting all the girls. So I grew my hair out. I didn't cut it for like 5 years.
Oh wow!
So.
I tried to do that when I first got out of the military. It's like, man, I'm finally I'm on my own, fully on my own. I don't have to listen to anybody. I'll grow my hair out. I got it to like to tip in on my shoulder, and I was like, no, it's so much. I don't know how women do it. I had a new appreciation for women having long hairs because I was just like, no.
Well, it took forever to dry it. I know that. I got pretty fine hair as it is, but it just worked for me. And but anyway, back to what I was saying. When I after 6 years of presence, and those guys just they were already established, and Legs Diamond's manager was our manager. He managed them too.
Okay.
So that's how we got kind of hooked up into that whole deal. And so when we finally got sick of each other and broke up, it was like a big monkey off my back, but it was like, because I didn't have to sit there and listen to people telling me what to do all the time, because I'd never been in that situation before.
And that's with the touring. You're still at this point. You're touring like nationwide, or are you just
no? We're just around Texas, regionally, pretty much. And we had record people fly out from California all the time to come see us, but they never caught us in our element. You know what I mean? It'd always be like in Austin or something in front of 50 people. We had a fairly decent following there, but we didn't get any airplay on the radio like we did in San Antonio. Okay. San Antonio was playing us, they had like the #1 song in San Antonio for 6 weeks.
Your manager didn't try to schedule it in San Antonio or anything? Didn't like have a light bulb? It was like, wait a minute, we might not want to show it here than show it there.
Doug Somm, the guy I was telling you about, he was the singer for the Texas Tornadoes.
Okay.
Remember them? And so he would kind of flash these guys in every once in a while, and it was like the senior vice president of CBS Records came out to see us play, and he thought we were okay, and he was a little more brutal than that, but it was like, okay, well, we still had a following, and so it was sad that we didn't get to play in front of a lot of people and do that whole thing in front of him. But we wound up breaking up, and I sat out for about a year until I ran into Pat Kennison. By the way, he's playing with Lita Ford right now. He's been with her for several years.
Simon Cowell, that's who I was thinking of. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, he had nothing to do with us. So.
Yeah. No, I was saying the guy was brutal like Simon Cowell.
Yes. I mean, they never did, hold back on what they thought. And it's kind of, unfortunately, that's kind of the approach I've taken from that moment on, especially when I'm trying out musicians. Because if you're not going to cut it, I'm just not even going to mess with you and just tell you like it is, Because I can't even tell you how many times I've told a bass player to learn the songs note for note, come in here, work on the songs, or the drummer, and then, they just jack it all up and start trying to thumb bass and stuff like that. And I'm like, they'd be like, "What do you think, man?" And I'm like, "Pretty shitty, maybe you should go home and practice and, pay attention to what we just told you to do, And so, the problem was, especially in my band, Spinning Chain, that I formed in Austin, we had all of our lights and videos and all these background noises and, some background vocals and guitars and shit all, synced together. So they had to play this stuff like the record because that's the way it was recorded.
Yeah.
And everybody does it, everybody uses that stuff these days. But I've kind of like...
I've seen the sound engineers working on the background on like new shows and everything for the. I'm surprised they don't have like 4 or 5 different arms. They're fast and they're always like tweaking here, and it's just a minute thing that you wouldn't even understand, and they're like tweaking it. I was like,
well, the problem is as the arena or wherever they're playing fills up, the sound changes.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing. The acoustics are kind of going haywire.
Yeah, it's the same thing with this. I mean, once we put this flag up here, the sound was like totally different. I mean, it was a good difference. I mean, we're not working like a band or anything like that, but putting all this stuff. I mean, if you go in and listen to our show before we got all this stuff done to the studio,
right?
You're hearing echoes, you're hearing all kinds of stuff. Now it's just crisp and clean.
Right. Well, in my studio, I would hang a whole piece of carpet on the wall, so it was like you go like this, you wouldn't even hear an echo or anything.
Well, I found these little panels right here.
Yeah.
All these panels, $45.
Yeah.
I mean, they work very well. I've seen like different styles and everything.
Well, see, I had the big thick ones all over my room, and I had the bass diffusers in the corners of the room too.
Okay.
And just that piece of carpet on the wall dampened everything down.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to use that next.
But I put tieback behind or on the wall first because we were trying to soundproof the place, and then I put the carpet on top of that. I just nailed it into the studs, basically. But it, like, deadened the whole room.
Oh, wow.
And the bass diffusers worked great. Something about, how bass travels and hits the corner of the room, bounces back. These would stop that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I have the corners over here. I mean, it when one of the pieces just fall off, you can hear some weird sounds. But
anyway... 94, man, ran into Pat at the music store, and he was like, I was like, "Hey, man, I've been looking for you." And he's like, "Man, I've been looking for you." So we got together, and he was like, "Hey, I know this guy, Brian Scott, that he knows how to produce music, and I want to put him in the band and stuff. He's real good at writing and stuff." So we went and found him on the gravel ground of a garage somewhere where he was sleeping, or he just didn't have a place to live.
Oh, okay.
He's a young kid, and we all were sort of. I'm a lot older than those guys are, but we spent 3 years putting a studio together. That was when the ADATs came out, and that was a nightmare because those things, trying to sync those up and them running right, we were always sending those machines back to get fixed, and it would take like 2 or 3 months for it to come back.
What do you mean by syncing them?
Well, it only handles so many channels at a time.
Okay.
So you would have 2 or 3 of these. I think we had a 24-track board at the time. So I think we had, like 3 or 4 of those. And I think they handled 8 tracks a piece or something like that.
Man.
And
nowadays all we have is like a program that can do it for you really
fast.
The
Pro Tools is king. That's the way to go. But yeah, I spent 3 years with them recording a bunch of music, and I got really tired of that. We were staying out at this compound outside of town, south of San Antonio, on this guy's property, and he's literally letting us use his garage to do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And we were hours and hours and hours out there doing that. And we were recording, you wouldn't believe some of the Union Underground stuff that we recorded in the early days, because it was long, epic 7-8 minute songs, that sounded like Guns N' Roses. What is that?
So you're trying to be like Queen or
no. We were
doing Iron Butterfly. That's who it was.
This stuff sounded like what was that Guns N' Roses song? That second double album that they came out with. November Rain.
Yeah, okay.
Real big orchestrated stuff,
Oh, okay.
And Brian knew a little bit of how Mutt Lange worked, and we did a lot of backing vocals, sounded like a pissed off Def Leppard. It's just really heavy music. And then we started diving in sort of into kind of a Alice in Chains kind of sound, and I was singing real high vocals back then. And of course, singing to Queensryche and stuff like that. Everybody wanted to have a high voice back then, from Steelheart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, wah! But for me, I learned pretty early that you can't do that every night.
Oh, no.
And go party and drink and not get any sleep. So
Yeah, because you have to rest it's a muscle, and it's one of those ones, it will break.
Yeah. And that's what happened to me in Illinois. Singing all those songs every night, and we were drinking like fish up there because we were having to numb ourselves out from 20 below zero weather. And so we're wearing spandex in the snow, Yeah. And not one of my proud moments. But,
I bet. Jeez.
Yeah.
How do you still have your fingers and toes?
Well, I mean, we had girls to warm those up.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of them up there. They loved guys from Texas. But nonetheless, we wound up, just recording for 3 years, and we finally played one gig, and it was like, by the time we got to that, we were pretty much sick of each other too. Brian was trying to take over the whole thing anyway, and at the time I was having big problems with my girlfriend and everything, so we just mutually agreed to, disband, or I left. And so they went on to do their thing, and I think they wound up getting signed like 3 years later.
Yeah, okay.
And I got to take a time out to use the bathroom.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, where was I?
Beginning of Union Underground.
We recorded every day for 3 years. And, I got tired of singing all that high stuff. So Brian was like...
I just listened to, re-listened to, like, one of their songs, and it wasn't even high-pitched.
Mm-hmm.
It was more into your face, but it wasn't high-pitched.
Well, that was kind of a transformation that happened, because what wound up happening is they made me a cassette, and yes, it did say cassette, but it was like they wanted me to get my voice lower, wispier, and raspier.
Yeah.
And so I started listening to Bryan Adams and Hootie and the Blowfish and Def Leppard, and trying to develop that voice into a voice that worked for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to sing the, high octave stuff anymore. It was just painful, and if you were just slightly sick or had a sinus infection, you can forget doing a show.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened to me when we played with.
I don't even know how Mariah Carey does it.
Well, you learn. You got to learn how to use your voice.
Yeah.
And to me, I was doing everything backwards. I wound up when I told you I lost my voice in Illinois. When I was in Austin, I still haven't recovered from that. When I joined Presence, we were doing some shows with Dangerous Toys back then too. We'd open for them in Austin, and they would open for us in San Antonio. And so, I was telling, Jason McMasters, what was up with my voice, and he's like, dude, there's this guy in Dallas named Dr. Kirkpatrick. You need to go see him. And he does The President and Bruce Dickinson and Bon Jovi and all these people, Mick Jagger. And so I did, and went in there, and he gave me some a Z-Pack, and then he told me to not talk for 10 days, and it would clear up the nodules that had developed on my vocal cords, because I was getting up to a certain range and it was crackling right in there, right where I was transitioning over to the higher stuff. And so I don't know if you ever tried not to talk for 10 days, but it's virtually impossible, because I didn't realize how much I talked to myself until that came about, so I stopped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just end up talking to yourself.
You're just sitting there, wow, I wonder where that pencil is, just stuff like that.
Yeah. God, I couldn't even imagine. Oh, man, now that I think about it, I'm like, man, I do talk to myself a lot. I mean, a normal, faction is like, even when I was like, I like this morning, I just stood there and I was doing this. I was just doing this.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the office was like, "What are you doing?" I'm figuring out what I need in the trailer, and he's like, "Oh, I totally understand that." And he just walks off. It's like people understand that now, but back in the day, we were like, "He's being ridiculous right now. He's not doing anything that makes any sense." But nowadays, everybody. I mean, we got social media, and everybody shows it and laughs about it, but nowadays it's a common thing.
Right. Well, see, I was going, hey man, what's up? And the doctor told me that whispering was the worst thing for your voice.
Really?
Yeah, because when you whisper, your vocal cords tighten up as tight as they can go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Instead of singing real high, it's that, hey man, I lost my voice.
Okay.
So yeah, after I got that done, I was good to go. I mean,
oh really?
And Presence, we practiced every day, 7 days a week. I mean, we were the tightest band around. There was no one that even came remotely even close to us as far as tightness, and it really helped us because everybody was great musicians in that band. I mean, the drummer, bass player, everybody, and it helped me develop my voice and get it strong again. Well, anyway, when the Union Underground started, I was still doing all that high stuff like Jeff Keith and, whatever. And that's kind of the sound that I had with my voice at that time. It was really Tesla sounding. And we were kind of writing stuff in that vein. And so...
Tesla coils, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, there's two Teslas. I got to have to verify.
No, Tesla. Tesla, the band Tesla.
Oh, okay. Okay, the band Tesla. Okay.
Yeah. Jeff Keith, and see, we did some shows with them, and the drummers, our drummer and their drummer, became best friends.
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, Neil Peart, drum roadie, he's from San Antonio, and he would go out on the road with us when he was off. And so, you know, he was the drum roadie for Tesla's drummer.
Okay.
And that's how they kind of met up. Because we all kind of knew each other because we were all from the same city. But anyway, I started working on all these tapes and just trying to get, because I have a high voice as it is. And that whole thing, it took me about probably 4 or 5 months to get my voice to where, you know, I could, you know, sound like, you know, a good example of it is like when Def Leppard goes, "Step inside, walk this way," and it's got that low, whispery, raspy voice.
Yeah.
I wanted to perfect that in some way. And so when I started my band Spinning Chain, I went all out with that sound. And that's, I don't know if you listened to any of that stuff, but that's what...
No, I can't pull it. That's the only thing is I wish I could pull it up. If anything, I'll put it in the the description of all the band. I have to have you write it down.
Yeah.
But of all the bands that you mentioned, and because of monetization and everything like that, I worked at when I did the charity event down in Fort Worth. There was a guy that's phone went off doing Leonard Skinner, and it caught it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it flagged it on YouTube.
Huh.
I was so pissed off because I had like 80 songs I had to go in and delete. I was like, Leonard Skinner, and I listened to that part.
Yeah.
I was like, they didn't play Leonard Skinner, and I listened to it. I was like, it's the dude's phone. That was like, I was interviewing. He did, his phone went off. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Wow.
But it's just the analytics of YouTube.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. But anyways, go ahead.
So anyway, yeah, I after I got through with that band, you know, of course they got signed 3 years later with Columbia, and they went on to bigger, better things. I think they did a couple of world tours. Did the Monsters of Rock, or not the Monsters of Rock, but
and they did the what a lot of people nowadays don't do is they took the payday up front.
Yeah.
Because you said they were still paying it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian was saying he got quite a bit of money, and of course he was kind of running that show. I don't know how he came to start running everything, but
well, did he write the?
He did write
That's the reason why.
Yeah,
because Smashing Pumpkins. Who's the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins?
Oh,
God, I can't even remember.
You shouldn't have asked me. I could have told you.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Smashing Pumpkins. But yeah, he was producing everything and doing his sound, and you know, me and Pat are the ones that brought him into the band.
Billy Corgan.
Yeah. And so he just kind of took off with it. And so he is a very, very smart guy. He's a very intelligent person, very gifted musician. He can play everything. I mean, I've seen him literally turn a guitar upside down, a right-handed guitar. He's left-handed. Mm. He'd take a right-handed guitar, turn it upside down, and play it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he does the same thing with a bass. And he can play bass, you know. I've never seen him play drums, but he programs the hell out of them.
Okay.
And he's already made a good name for himself for actually producing in the music business. So, and I think the Union Underground's album just went gold a few months ago. And, you know, he's got a couple of bands he's working on. One's called Cult to Follow, and the other one is called Into the Fire. And I know the Cult to Follow stuff has already had over, you know, like 40 million streams on YouTube and Spotify.
Dang.
Because he's getting all these, you know, plaques and stuff like gold records coming into the mail all the time. And so, but he works hard. That's all he does is promote the hell out of it. But he is a mad scientist in a studio. I mean, that's all he's done. But, you know, later on, as I put the Spinning Chain band together, you know, I had him come in and produce our record. So we spent a couple of years, me and my friend Todd. Todd used to be called Taz, which I kind of had to get him to, you know, don't go by Taz. You know, no. I'm just so done with those names like that. You know,
I've never gotten the
Razzle and
I've never gotten the names. It's like, well, I'm going to call you this. I was like, no, you're not. Just call me by my last name.
Well, see, when I was
there's lots of Davids and everything. My last name's Dickerman. It's original.
Yeah.
So just call
me.
Well,
see, I have a friend of mine called David Dickinson, and he works with Lone Wolf Management, which was Bill Ham and ZZ Top and all that stuff. Bill Ham was the one that produced all the ZZ Top's records.
Okay.
And managed them forever. And I think he died, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. But I got to meet that man, and, you know, they helped us out quite a bit, too, with my Spinning Chain project. And, you know, David Dickinson came out and seen us play, and this was after we recorded the record. And, you know, we spent time, that record, that Spinning Chain record that we did, very well produced. We sent it out to Hollywood to the same guy that, you know, did Metallica's album, that mastered that record, some Motley Crue records, and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but that record, you put it on a good stereo and it'll blow your head off. And it was all done in Pro Tools in my house, you know. And Brian was living with me at the time we were recording all that stuff, and he was recording his, you know, this was after the Union Underground had already parted ways. Mm-hmm. You know, that just turned into a bunch of lawyers and lawsuits and stuff.
Oh, here you go. Yep. Producer, songwriter, Jimmy Scott Mancille.
Yeah.
Jimmy was G-I. This is what is weird. It's J-I-M-I.
Right.
You went by Jimmy as that, but now...
Well, here's the interesting story about that. When I started playing with Presence, mm-hmm. nobody could pronounce Mancille. They'd never get it right, you know. And, you know, my brother hates me to this day because I say Mancille. It's pronounced Mancille. But you say that over the phone and everybody's going, what'd you say, Manson? Manson? No, I didn't say Manson. You know.
No, wait.
And then
I did an episode of Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And there's certain names you can't do anymore. And Charles Manson has a son that's Charles Manson Jr. I mean, it's like, oh, what are you going to name your kid? Adolf Hitler?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea. That's a name that you can't say anymore.
Yeah. Well, see, you know, everybody wants to call me Mansville or Mansfield or Mancille, Mancilly, you know, I've been called it all. And so I just said Mancille.
Yeah.
You know, and basically after the race car driver, the Nigel Mancille, he's a French, you know, IndyCar driver.
Okay.
I don't know if he still does it, of course. He's probably, you know, old now, but when I joined Presence, you know, trying to sign autographs, we would do a lot of autograph sessions because there was a lot of people always coming to our shows. Mm-hmm. We would sell out. There's a place there called Sneakers in San Antonio that every band in the world has played there. And, you know, we'd pull in 1,000 people on a Monday night in that place. And so I was going by Jimmy Scott, which is my first and middle name. And I started doing that because no one could pronounce my name correctly, and trying to sign autographs in a hurry, I couldn't do it. Mm. So I took off the M-I, or the M-Y off the Jimmy, and just started doing J-I-M-I. J-I-M-I, like that. Like,
God, that makes so much sense.
And Scott, I could write that out pretty damn quickly. And so then when I joined the Union Underground, Brian Scott that was his last name. So everybody thought we were brothers. Is that your brother? You know? I mean, even after I was out of that band and I was playing Spinning Chain down in Houston and Beaumont and around that area, you know, everybody's like, because they were, kind of booking us as the original, forming member of the Union Underground singer, and on the radio. So it was kind of like I was always getting that. So I went back to Jimmy Scott Mancille when I started the spinning chain thing because it was just getting ridiculous, and it was causing a lot of issues, especially like when we played up in Dallas, because people didn't know who the hell I was. They knew who Brian Scott was, but we played at Trees, I think, one night, and my manager at the time, he lived in Dallas, and so they were promoting us like, oh, the original lead singer for the Union Underground and blah, 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 blah. So we had a shitload of people come out to the show, but, it wasn't no Union Underground stuff at all,
I bet that was just. Did you get any like a lot of booze or just
no?
Did you still love the show?
Yeah, I mean we were kicking ass.
Okay.
And we had, I kind of followed in the Union Underground's footsteps as far as production goes. So we had video screens and lights and all this stuff going on, and it was really kind of dark Rob Zombie stuff, And in fact, I think Pat actually recorded some guitars on one of Rob Zombie's records, and because I know he's got platinum albums in his house with that stuff on it.
Oh wow!
And Pat's just went gung ho because when they broke up, he went to L.A. and started a band called Heaven Below, and so he's been doing really well. And Nikki Stringfield, the girl that played with the Iron Maidens, is playing with him now.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're actually getting married.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a weird small world in a weird roundabout way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've noticed that too, because I end up, I'll meet somebody, and then someone would turn around to me, and it's like, you know who that was, right? I'm like, no, we just had an honest chat. He gave me his number, we started hanging out and everything like that. He's like, dude, that guy's a billionaire. I'm like, okay. I did that when I was at Dyer's Air Force Base. I ended up, I was at the bar. This guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, do you know where this is? I was like, and I was go lucky. I was like, it's over there. He came back around. He's like, hey, thank you. I was like, hey, let me buy you a beer. He's like, really?
Yeah. Because
nobody's done that for him. And and then one day, the kicker of me finding out he was a billionaire, he asked me, he was like, hey, you work up at the Air Force Base, right? I was like, yeah, I work in the kitchen. Do you know anybody who wants to buy like a G5, Gulfstream 5? I was like, what's the Gulfstream 5? He's like, oh, it's a jet.
Oh, yeah.
What? What? Yeah. A lot of the pilots, you think one of them could afford to buy one? I was like, No. They're still paying out their fucking college tuition. Yeah. That's the reason why they're in the Air Force. And not flying around in a Gulfstream. Are you serious? And he was like legitimately, it was like, well, just ask around. And I'm the type of person, I was working at the flight kitchen, and it's like, hey, any one of you pilots want to buy a Gulfstream? It's like, that's funny, man. It was like, no, I had a friend of mine that's a billionaire, and he's trying to sell one. He's like, who's your friend? And I told him who my friend is. He's like, you know him? He's like the town found family and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I had a beer with him, and we hung out, and we did this. And he's like, you got it. And after that, I ended up, anytime that we hung out and everything, everybody was like, oh, you going to go hang out with your billionaire? I was like, no.
Yeah.
But I would still hang out, and they'd find out. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I have a friend of mine that's a billionaire too, and he does have one of those. I think they're like $80 million. They're not cheap. This is a real jet, you know.
Yeah, it goes from L.A. to England in about
9 hours.
Yeah. 9-10 hours.
Yeah, my painting career that I've been doing for years, led me to this guy. He used to be the CEO of Churchill Downs up in Kentucky, and he is loaded, and his family's been in the horse racing business his whole life. And
Do you find when hanging around those type of people that they're not connected, like in that moment, to weird stuff that you find it's normal, but it's like really, really, they're like, you really do that? I'm like, yeah. I just do it this way. I'm like, well, how much does that? How much you put back to do? Oh, it cost me, but this. That's the reason why I don't do that.
Yeah,
I just do that myself.
No, Bob is like one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Oh, yeah.
And he is one of the smartest men I've ever met. I mean, this guy's got a resume from hell.
Oh, really?
It's like, you wouldn't believe all the things he's done. I think he used to be the CEO of Churchill Downs. And he also, at Caterpillar, I think he worked for them. And he wound up starting a software company and sold it for billions. And that's how he became really rich. But he just took on that CEO job there at Churchill Downs for the hell of it, just to give him something to do. And I went up there to paint his house, and he just like treated me like a king. I mean, I got to do the whole thing. I got to go up in the millionaire's row, and I was sitting right next to Hank Aaron.
Oh.
Yeah. And met all these people from C3 Productions, and, these tables are $250,000 each. And it's a table about like this,
What?
Yeah. For 3 days. Because that's how long it all lasts.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, we got the limo ride and the red carpet treatment. We went to the Taste of the Derby, and we went to Kingsland, which is one of the oldest, maybe the oldest racetrack in the United States. But we went out there, and, they have a week of festivities out there before the Derby starts. So when we went to the Derby, I went up there. Now, did you
have to dress up?
Yes.
Okay.
Had to wear a suit. You can't wear anything but a suit.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
Now, all the flunkies down on the bottom
do what they want.
Yeah, they can wear tank tops and shorts.
I have friends that I think, before the pandemic and everything like that, they went to the Kentucky Derby. The people from Drinking Bros podcast.
Yeah.
They went there, and they had these ridiculous suits and everything. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, you have to do that to get in the higher seats. It's like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about it was he gave me wristbands to all levels.
Oh.
So the top level where we were all at, being that he was the CEO of the place, I mean, we had a buffet from hell. I mean,
oh, wow.
Steak, lobster, you name it, it was there. Prime rib. And you could drink, eat free, all you wanted. Just do whatever you want. So I'm hanging out up there, and, I meet the freaking guy, the world's most interesting man.
Oh,
Dos Equis guy.
Dos
I got
Equis.
a picture with him and everything.
Awesome.
And,
see, the most interesting person I've ever met was Stan Lee.
Yeah. Stanley?
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought you meant like a wrench or something.
No. Nerd world.
Yeah.
Nerd world.
Yeah.
He's top on the list, and now you can't get to that list anymore, so I'm going to stay there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I went down to this area where all of the, TV stars and country stars and rock stars and everybody hung out. And I went down there. I met Travis Tritt. I met...
We're just name dropping here.
Yeah, I met... who was that guy? Montgomery Gentry.
Yeah.
The guy that didn't get killed.
Oh, okay.
In fact, his last name is Montgomery because I met his brother, who is John Michael Montgomery, out at Bob's place because he had a party out there, and he had John Michael Montgomery come out and play, who's had like 20 #1 hits.
No.
And he's kind of been off the scene a long time, but he's got people re-record his music all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the Backstreet Boys and all that stuff. They take those songs and.
I've always been fascinated because back in the day, when it first came out, Shinedown did a remake of Simple Man from Leonard Skinner, and friends of mine back then, a childish thing to where, oh, you can never do better than this and everything like that, and it came around and I started listening to it. I was like, it has a different beat. It has it's very slower, and I was like, that works.
Yeah.
I was like Hatfield, 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
No, dang it.
James Hetfield?
No, it wasn't James Hatfield. Oh, God, what is his name?
Who are you talking about?
9 Inch Nails, the lead singer.
Oh, Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor got hurt from let Johnny Cash do a rendition of it.
Right, and that's a very good song.
And Trent Reznor literally said, "It's like that song I wrote.
Right,
it's not mine anymore.
It isn't,
and it isn't. It can't be.
No
one can do better than Johnny Cash.
Dude, Johnny Cash nailed that.
He killed it.
He couldn't even hardly speak, and
he did.
Yeah, that was the most eerie song that I ever heard.
That was just.
It'll give you goosebumps really bad.
Yeah, I mean that's what Trent Reznor was going for.
Yeah.
And Johnny Cash was like, "Hold my beer, son."
Yeah.
And just demolished it.
Well, if you remember, that song came out like right after Johnny Cash died.
Yeah. Then his wife died.
Yeah. Well, his wife died first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
June Carter Cash.
June Carter Cash died first, and then he died.
And then he died.
But yeah, it was so. And
2 weeks later, I think it was pretty close. Because that guy loved her. I mean, he was, that's
it was that whole oh God, Where the Wild Fern Goes. It was a book. Yeah, it was basically these two dogs died.
Right.
And Where the Red Fern Grows. That's what the book is.
Yeah.
And it's basically a story of these two dogs, male and female. They loved each other. They cared for each other. One of them died. And a week later, the other one died, and a red fern grew right between them.
Right.
And that's basically what happened. I mean, it happened. I mean, that happened with Bush and his wife. They died pretty much the same week.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people, if they have that kind of a bond, to basically they live each other, they live off each other, and when one of them dies, they don't have anything to live off of. I mean, it's kind of weird to say that and understand that, but it makes sense.
Well, I've never been married, so I wouldn't know anything about that.
I've had a lot of leeches.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of leeches that just drain me, and people, it's like nowadays people was like, why don't you date anymore? I was like, it's not worth it. I mean,
dude,
it's just
it's
a drain on, and hopefully I find someone that can compliment me and everything like that to where it doesn't feel like that. But it's just so draining. I went on a date probably about last year. Chick was in a wheelchair. I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. Tell you about my bad luck. Chick in the wheelchair just got out of jail because she was trafficking meth.
Oh, great.
So I was like, why don't you want to talk to me anymore? Well,
yeah,
you made my list not to talk to you anymore.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things.
I know the feeling.
There's
a lot of them people around here.
Yeah,
one of my best friends, I grew up in high school. It's always, I've changed, man. I'm doing good things with my life now, and I've found Jesus, and all of a sudden, they're right back down that road again. And so I am done at this point.
Having like a garden hose and a freaking going down the table.
I mean, I've done all that.
Yeah.
I never let it really take a hold of me like I've seen it do a lot of my friends.
I can't do that. And I'm happy I can't. Because, well, when I was younger, I was on Ritalin. And I just couldn't, I hated that feeling. I mean, I was on it from like 3rd grade to 11th grade. And I just said, no, not anymore. It was like basically I just cut it out.
Right.
And then everybody's like, "Oh, I'm on this." I was like, "Why are you doing that to yourself?" I barely even drink.
Right.
Because it's just
I don't either.
I don't like that mindset.
Well,
to where I'm like sloshing around and everything. I want to be on my A game.
Right, and I feel the same way because, being that I grew up in clubs and I was going to clubs before I was even of age to get into a club.
Okay.
That was back when we were making our own IDs and shit. So.
And you can do it, and it wasn't that bad. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that hard.
It was just like laminate your picture over it and you're done.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a club at 2:00 in the afternoon doing sound check or something, but it stinks bad.
When we got out, when I was working corrections, I was working the night shift, and we'd go on our last day out. We had a 4-day weekend. So our first thing is they would go to the bar. The only one open at 7:00 is Fat Albert's. So we'd go to Fat Albert's.
Right.
Man, having a couple of drinks and going outside and have that blaring freaking sun just blare at you. I'm like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
And I'll go to bar. It's like I'll do this at a bar and everything, but other than that, I'll go home. I'll do other interesting things. I mean, I got my bow right there. I'll go shoot my bow. I'll go out to the range and shoot, get some gunpowder therapy and everything. And my biggest fan for this show, I took her out last time. Whenever she comes, because she's a truck driver and she just loves me.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for her husband sometimes, but not in that way.
I didn't even hear that.
No, we don't do anything. It's just all platonic and everything.
Yeah.
And we hang out, and she loves me, and it's great. We go out and we go do stuff, and to this day, the only reason the closest that I see a woman nowadays get an orgasm, and I take her to eat. And she pays, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So it's all good. And I've never seen a woman orgasm over food. I mean, like, legitimate orgasm over food. It is the strangest. I'm like, I don't feel, bad about this for some reason. I think I'm doing a good job.
I think I've come close to that just eating at Mexican food in San Antonio.
Yeah. Dude, Torchy's?
It's not here.
Yeah. Torchy's Tacos.
No, Torchy's is good, but it's not authentic Mexican food like you can get in San Antonio. You go down to the south side on Zarzamora.
We had this job over in Jordan, Texas, and it was at a gas station. There was a little. I'll put the mic a little bit closer to you.
Yeah.
You can move it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, there we go.
I speak pretty loud, so.
Yeah. But we went. There was this little gas roach coach. I hate to call it that, but
That's what it is.
Yeah. And God, I had a quesadilla, chicken quesadilla, and I thought I died. It was so good. It was so delicious.
Well, see, I got spoiled being in Austin and San Antonio for all these years because I come up here and there's nothing even remotely even close to all that stuff down there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've been trying to learn to cook some of those dishes myself.
Yeah. No, I had a guy. God, I can't even name the. It's over on East Scott or Martin Luther. No, it's Martin Luther Jr. Drive, and I went over there to eat, and they're like, "Oh, this is the best tacos you can get in town." I was like, even when Fuzzy's was here for a while, both those, I was like, I'll eat the tacos, but I'm like you. I've gone to like good street tacos, and you eat those street tacos, and I was like, that's dry.
Yeah.
And I stopped eating it, and my friend was like, no, this is good taco. I was like, dude, you might be Mexican, but I don't think you're Mexican.
Yeah. When I moved to Austin, they have a bunch of good places there too. I mean, a bad place is a good place.
Yeah.
A bad place is better than any place around here that's good. I mean, the only place I go to now is like to get tacos is Taco Casa.
No, you know what's actually a good place to get tacos? There's a gas station up here over by Love's Truck Stop.
Yeah.
There's a taco place inside. Really good tacos.
Really?
Yeah, they're the best in town. And that's coming from a person that
Is that on Jacksboro's old Jacksboro Highway?
No. It's Love's Truck Stop.
Oh, you mean heading out towards Dallas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Exxon gas station. You go in the Exxon gas station, great tacos. Of course, I have another place that I want to try just to see how it is, but O'Brien's, I got to test those out. I won't tell you it's good until I tried it, but yeah, that Exxon, I went over there with my coworker, Danny. You remember Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went over there, and he was like, dude, why haven't I stopped? How did you know about this place? I was like, well, Kai told me, and
yeah.
I went up there, and I tried it out, and I was like, oh, my God.
Food travels fast.
Yeah. And what's really sad is a lot of people don't know of that place because a lot of people don't travel that far to get,
Yeah.
And it's like me, I'll travel like a long distance to go get some really good food. Like Torchy's.
Yeah.
I love Torchy's. And I'll travel. I mean, the closest one is I think Denton.
Yeah.
And Maria.
I like the Democrat, but
yes,
I'm not a Democrat.
Yeah. I'm the same.
It's got the mango chicken and the
yeah. And like a sliver of avocado.
Yeah.
And
Love it.
the trashy.
Yeah.
The trailer park.
You trailer park trash.
Yeah, you get the trashy trailer park or whatever it's called. Dude, it is so delicious.
They're good. I'll give you that, but I make my own street tacos. I can make carne asada better than anybody in this town. I promise you that.
You know, it's a good place to go eat at though. Maria, she that's where I first found out that you can orgasm over food.
Yeah,
is the brewery, Wichita Brewery.
I don't know where that is.
It's downtown. I think it's on 8th Street. If anything, just Google it. Just Wichita Falls Brewery. But Pride and Provisions, that they have a restaurant in there. I had their brisket nachos.
See, I haven't found any good barbecue here yet either. I don't know that I will.
Thursdays and the place that I really like to go regularly is they give us free food every time we mention them. So, Daddy Bob's barbecue. It's only Thursdays.
Is that trailer that parks up there at Southwest Parkway in Camp?
Yeah.
I haven't tried their stuff, but I heard it was good.
Dude, Danny had. I told him, it's like, dude, just have a ham sandwich from him.
Yeah,
$8. He's like, I don't know, man. These better be good. I'm talking about they stack it.
Yeah,
that's how thick it was. That was
it better be.
That was the meat.
Yeah,
they basically they chop off like a pound of ham.
Yeah,
and there you go.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I'll have to try that.
That's really good. If I reference this, because I'm a diehard foodie because I was a chef and was in the military. I every time I cook, if I say something's good, everybody that's listened to me, and yes, some people you got to listen to me, and go to these places, and it will change. It's like the best burger places, in my opinion, in town is Bricktown.
Yeah,
but I only get like the one burger type, and it's very delicious. The fries are good. I was like, no, this place, dude, that's a fast food place. Go to an actual restaurant that's serving, and their main thing is like Ruby. What Ruby Burgers? Where the other one at the mall?
Man, I haven't even been in that mall since I've been back. You know, I went to school here back when I was in high school for a year.
What school did you go to?
Ryder.
Ah, Hershey.
Yeah, I was here when the tornado hit.
Oh, yeah,
I was right in the middle of that damn thing. I think I told you about that.
Yeah, I was born.
Yeah.
By that, because I was 78. I was here I was born in 78, and I was here for the tornado too, but I was like a baby. So
yeah. Yeah, I was a freshman in high school. I was like, I mean, I was this little farm boy that
Oh, okay.
came from a little bitty town that, you either worked on a ranch or you worked in the oil field, one or the other.
Yeah.
And of course, I wasn't old enough to work in the oil field yet, but I did a lot of.
Yeah, this town was about that for the longest time. You worked on the ranch or you worked on the oil field.
Yeah, that's all there was.
Yeah.
And
Or the Air Force Base.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I was literally right there at Fairway in Southwest Parkway when that tornado came down.
Oh, wow.
And we were running from it in a car. And I got to tell you a whole another podcast on that. That day.
You know that is coming up, so we could probably do it.
Yeah.
We could. Let me look at, because we got to get out of here because I'm getting like sleepy tired.
Yeah,
I got to get some food and everything.
When you called me and wanted me to do this, I was like, I'd already gotten through for like 4 videos of homework. I was just like, oh my God, here we go. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's on a Monday, but well, we can go at that later on.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta, I've went on
because we've already done an hour so far.
Yeah, I went on the Facebook tornado group or whatever here in town and wrote a very minimal storyline across that whole day. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I had to cut out a lot of the gore and stuff out of it, but I was trying to bounce through the whole thing because it was pretty long.
Yeah.
I went through that thing, and everybody loved that thing.
From some of the stories that I've gathered so far was they had there's a place they said they had rats in the soda bottles.
Yeah.
And the caps were still on it.
I think that's a little far-fetched.
It was a little bit far-fetched for me too.
I've heard wood and fiberglass inside of used to be a liquor store down here in front of the Dirt Cheap, and they had building materials inside of these bottles that were unopened. That I do remember them saying that. And, and there was, people telling me brooms were stuck in the middle of trees and stuff like that. And I did see a few cars up in the trees for sure. But there was people still in them, when I was running down Southwest Parkway after we had outran it and come back around. But that's the parts I didn't include in my story. But it did give everybody chills, and they were freaked out by that whole story that I wrote. And it still bothers me to this day, all of that. It was very traumatizing.
Oh, well, I bet.
Because, I mean, I just thank God we weren't in school. Because if we were in school, we'd all be dead. Everybody at Ryder and everybody at Mancille. Because the places that they had for us to go duck and cover were buried in cinder blocks.
Fuck.
Both places. We went and checked it out.
Oh, wow.
And so we were lucky to be out for spring break during that whole thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we can close on that. Well, I'll have you back on. We can talk about that.
Yeah, I want to tell you about my spinning chain deals. That's the band I promote most these days.
Oh, okay.
But I am right now trying to. I want to put a band together here.
Yeah, I try to get you a drummer. You were looking a female drummer.
I'm looking for females, and not to sound like I'm just wanting females in my band. I'd love to at least have a couple of females in the band, because not only does it look cool, I just want to be something different around here. Yeah. Because everybody's doing the same thing, and it's a little, there's some good bands out here that I like to go see. A few of my friends play in, but my idea of what I want to put together and what I see around here is kind of totally different. Because I'm really into production and solidness,
building something,
putting something that people want to come out and see.
Yeah. Because
I don't like playing in front of 50 people.
Yeah, that's the same reason why I started doing this, is because Johnny, the other host that can't do it that much because he's trying to get married.
Yeah.
He can't. understand. He just loves it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, but he's so depressed a little bit because he can't do it as often now because he's going back. That's like the whole reason why I'm so glad that you came on is because I needed an episode for this Sunday.
Right, right.
And I was like, oh, I don't have to do this. Do it this way. I can take a little bit of break because my weekend's full. And
right.
My time is full, and it takes a lot. I mean, that, and I'm actually have a job, and I got to do that. I missed out on Monday doing some of my stuff on that. I was supposed to actually talk to a general manager up at O'Brien's,
yeah,
and it just didn't pan out. I was like, fine, I'll figure something out, and I did. I did like a 20-minute episode and get them a little bit of clout,
right?
Other than that. But anyways, I'm David Dickerman.
I enjoyed the whole thing and love to do it again.
Yeah, that's another thing that everybody that comes on here, they're like, "Oh man, this is all you do?" It's like, yeah, it's a hobby, and it's just talking to a friend.
Yeah, I mean I've done this quite a bit, but I mean it's like there's not near this long, of course, but
oh, dude, the longest I've done is 4 hours.
Yeah. And I mean, we're lucky to get 5 minutes, you know, and it's usually, the DJs at KISS or the KLBJ or whatever. Yeah,
that's the big difference between podcasts nowadays. It is we could go on for hours, or I want to at least get like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the minimum. I don't like I interviewed Chad Prather. And he's going for governor for Texas.
Yeah.
And I got him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I made the whole episode that I did last because I got like other people to interview and everything like that. I interviewed the guy that owns was it the installation that goes around the house? Those little those little padded things that go around houses and everything.
The Tyvek?
Yeah. Guy that owns Tyvek.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He's in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why. Yeah, Fort Worth. I met the guy that owns the company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
he's probably rich because if they put that on every house, there is, and there's millions of those, and I know how much that stuff costs. So he's probably getting close.
Let's just say this. The woman that was hanging on his arm would probably be in her like 25s. I was guessing.
That's
25.
not shocking, but I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Money always rules everything.
Yeah.
So, especially some of these girls around here. And that's why I'm still single.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for the show, and thank you for Jimmy for coming on. I hope you can do this again. Thank you, everybody. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, and good night.